Cool. So we have Vinod. Who's my close friend and classmate. Almost I know him since for past 2 decades. He's into I know digital painting and stuff. So he's got like 15 years of experience. Worked in movies, VFX, gaming industry, TV shows, theaters, to print. To just name few of those big Hollywood movies, he's worked with movies like Terminator, Sin City, Expendables, to the latest ones like Sahu and Bulbul. You can actually see, just watch out for Vinod More, the credits for special effects or VFX, right? So that's where you can actually try and catch him up. He's also into speed painting as well as a lot of teaching as well. Plus, he did his masters from IIT Bombay. So that's where there's in early 2000, HCI was in a big boom, and it was just kind of the word HCA itself was become pretty popular. So that's where I even tried to convince him and pull up, saying that, you know what, hey, you have a lot of opportunity here, and also you can make a lot of good money. So I asked him to take a elective, so kind of a 6 month elective. He did that for some time, and then later on he said that please, I don't want your money. I was not able to breathe, so leave me alone, right? So I'm glad that he chose what is his passion, and actually he's pretty successful in what he's doing. So without taking much of his time, I'll let Vinod walk us through like the kind of a mesmerizing magic that he does with all his visual arts and stuff, right? Over to you, Vinod.
Cool. Thank you for that cool words. Uh, Basically, I still call myself as a painter only. So no matter which media I am painting, may it be digital, it could be like a canvas, it could be paper and pencil. So basically, I always like to stick to the core, what we can say, the roots of the is where we are coming from, or what is it's built upon. So it's there in the every field. So and art is such a big thing. Means I don't think there is any field that is left with art. Means I would like to like tell you one note. Like even for the Einstein, somebody had said like he used to work like as an artist. This is very small presentation. I will say like how the art is in our day to day life. So where to find it actually again, and how to look at it. So this is kind of little abstract presentation. So, but I thought it will make a sense if you try to connect to your profession. So everyone don't need to be an artist to become artist actually. You can be art lover, you can appreciate it, because art and every other profession has its own turn of, practice and lots of work. So you doesn't need to be like Rembrandt, Picasso. Everybody doesn't need to be like that. But there is artist in everybody. That is what I want to emphasize. So art is kind of madness. It's a luxury that everyone can't afford. So if we look deep into it, art like Van Gogh and the Picassos, and just give you like very nice examples. So what exactly art is? So art is like falling in love. So I think same goes for your profession as well, where you follow your profession as a passion, then things becomes very easy. Whatever like problem we have, whatever issues we face, it never comes to us as a problem. We do enjoy all that pain. Like in love, if you are waiting for your partner, it doesn't make you like realize the time. So we can't afford the being an artist everybody. So everybody is kind of purchasing art in a different way, the way he is comfortable, the possible for him. The first thing is like we go for the movies, or we go to the art galleries and we spend some money and we try to be part of that art. We try to enjoy that art. Going further, that when we want more intense experience, we spend like 5,000 rupees. We go to the live concerts where the entire ambience is filled with the art and music, or whatever the form of art it is, dance. That gives you much closer realization to the art, or a closer experience to it. And next is that you try to own the art piece. So kind of you spend like thousands and lakhs of rupees and then try to buy art. So this is in general what is how we look at art in our society and day-to-day life. But I would always tell, means most expensive things are always available for free, like air, water, sunset, sunrise, starry night. These are like priceless things. Those come for free, and that is where the art is lying actually. Where that is where our inspiration comes from. That is why even if you are in technical jobs, we need to take a long walks, need to take a coffee breaks, need to spend time with your friends. So that should be part of your work. That is how the artist lives. Whenever he's walking, he's talking, he's filled with art, but it is not very purposely. It is not like I have to do like 5 to 10 walk and then I have to come out of this solution and then I have to present something. Of course, in professional life, we got to do all that stuff, but just keep that inside and try to focus on this real art. All I need is to like disconnect and reconnect with me. I understand, like when we come into the job, like a few days we keep struggling what exactly this is all about. Even when we were in IIT IDC, it was very hard me to connect. I didn't even know what the computer it is. I didn't even know how to log into the email as well. But it's all about like you need to disconnect from where you are coming from and you need to reconnect to what exactly you're looking for. And if you once you develop that perspective, things starts getting easy for you. So once you understand how to look at art and how to enjoy the art, slowly it will start, getting absorbed in your work, day-to-day life work, even your design, anything. Even it can be very technical job, it can be a scientist job, it can be as serious as inventing virus cure, but that also can become a passionate job. So basically, more close to research will really give you in-depth knowledge and in-depth view towards the art. Just watching a painting doesn't make you understand the painting. The painting is all about what the artist is. So if you do that, better ways to watch few movies based on the art or some documentaries. And then if you can share that same thing with your colleagues who are having same interest, then you can get better understanding of art. And again, try not to be critic but the lover, because we in every field we find people like cribbing about this and that and many other things, whereas art comes with full of love. So if somebody doesn't like it, just step away from that. What you like, just follow your interest, because there could be many cults within a single art form. So never try to be bothered like he likes that abstract and I can't understand. If you find some small like painting portrait or like God's painting beautiful, that's piece of your devotion. So that is what I say, like it all needs like faith, devotions, and surrender. These are like three things which actually simultaneously goes with ones who falls in love. So saying that once we are passionate about art, you got to get faith, devotion, surrender automatically. So you don't need to push it for it. So I was just thought of giving you few glimpses of the classical painters and their work. And there are few documentaries available like BBC Power of Art. Those are like very beautiful documented movies. So it would be worth watching just if you want some insight on the art and the artists. So it's again Mark Rothko. So this is his painting, which even for today, even for myself, sometime we find it like completely clueless, objectiveless, skillless. But I tell you, these paintings are like price wise, they are not affordable. That is it. So you can imagine how this simple form of art can reach to the unaffordable price. So that is because his journey, his passion behind that work, and then that is taken into to these sides. So now coming to few Indian very classical artists, where means if you can't enjoy, can't read this art form, nothing wrong about it. Even I can't do that. So basically come to the realistic art, light, form, shades that can help you. And I will tell you, means I am giving you this as an initially I told you this is going to be like very abstract presentation maybe for you. But I guarantee you, if you start observing, start living this kind of form, this will automatically means start flowing within your work as well. Even like it's a sense of composition, because all we are dealing with the framing. Even on the computers or mobile screens, whatever we are designing, we are actually framing the stuff. No matter there are like a long back history of analysis, user problem solving. Same goes with the movie making as well. There is long backstory of having like production, then cost, and then the actor, then the shoot schedule, then everything comes to then comes to VFX part, and within VFX part, which is a very smaller compared to the movie. Nowadays, there are obviously VFX oriented movies, but in that VFX part, there is a small part for me. So we are like really small player in this big canvas. So uh, at the end of it, it's what I'm going to do is going to represent it in the form of screen where the end user is going to experience it. Same goes with our application designs and everything. Whatever you are doing, everything goes in backend, and whatever comes on the front screen, that becomes your piece of art as per your choice what you want to ask. Maybe Dan, if you can take up and ask me a few questions, I guess. So
Yes.
along with that, I can take you through some examples.
So I think the most curious thing everybody is waiting for is like, what happens, the magic in those movies, right? So people understand the VFX in a very surface level, but maybe you can help us, taking up
Okay.
some example and help us, like, how do you, what exactly is the process that is involved in that?
So see, this is a scan. Yeah, I had this movie with me, but I can just show it. This is the Conan the Barbarian, the latest film. Latest means there are two films. One is very old, one is 2011 something.
Yes.
So this is the sequence where these sand warriors are coming out of the sand. It's like magical thing, and they are fighting. So they just pop up from the sands anywhere from the ground, and if they are killed, and they get back to the sand. So what I have done over here is wanted to convert him into. I think. Can you see the
No,
change?
I think we are still seeing the first screen, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we can see it now. Okay.
So this is one option I created where sand is emerging from his body. This is second option. So it all goes when it's come to corporate world. It's all has to be based on the options and the briefs and the narratives. And this was the third option. So basically, we went like a small one, a little denser one, and one mix of both of them. So this is to generate the special effects. Once this is done, then once this is approved, then this goes for the FX team, animation team. So they have very less iteration to do because this is painting thing is very quick, so it becomes easy for them. Otherwise, if they have to do it into FX, then it is very difficult to do the all renderings and all that thing. So this is where my role comes in, where I do a lot of concept work for the film. I'll also show you one latest from.
So whom do you generally interact with? I mean, who gives you the problem brief?
Okay, our brief starts with we get a sequence, and sequence has a storyboard. Okay, storyboard is very initial thing that is roughly drawn, and along with the script. Script is the main thing which we read through again and again and again. And
Okay.
if we are means we have to directly, because director is not always available for you. So we have something called as art director, who is a kind of VFX art director, who is kind of sits with the director and take the narrations. In many cases, if films is a like local level, like Tanaji I work on, so we had like director coming and sitting with us for hours and giving us the narration. So that is one nice thing if we have the directors with you. So that narration helps us a lot, and then definitely there are pointers that we have to follow. We have to take the notes out of that and then convert into the visual. And there is always a lot of visual referencing done before getting into any single shot.
Okay. So how big is your team, Vinod?
Team is like see, DMP department is a lot of variety of work. There is a pre-production, there is a post-production. So pre-production where we do the just concept designs, and when we go to the post-production thing, we got to do a lot of matte painting. Matte painting is where you directly change the screen with blue screen with realistic painting. And concept is something we get an idea from the director and we try to build the mood, how it's going to look like. So there are two major part in the development.
Okay.
So mostly now I will show you this one image. So this was one shot. I think I'll better show you the bigger picture. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You can see. Now this is one shot in film Tanaji where the Mughal army is approaching in the valley, and inside the valley all Maratha Maulas are hiding and they do the guerrilla attack on them, and that war happens in that zone. So this is very important to set that mood, that atmosphere. So for one single concept art, we kind of spend almost like minimum 20 to 30 days. So it is not we are continuously working on that. We have like different work. It's same like any IT guy will have there. We have like 4 to 5 different images, or maybe sometimes projects in Red Chillies. I used to have like 5 different projects at a time, and every project will have many number of shots within that. So
Okay.
you have to keep track of what we are doing, which is the referencing and all that, and timings and all that. So if you have like 5 different shots in your mind that directors want you to draw, so he will give you a brief at a time of all these 5 shots, and then you can then space out your timing and according to when you want to approach to the shot. But basically it will all come with the deadlines and everything for default. So this we do the few rough sketches, then we do some rough coloring, blocking, then we share some
Do you
references.
do you have some samples for all this? Like how do you start to end? Like, is there any sample?
Yes, there should be. There should be. Okay. And like this is now route map where the war is going to happen.
So also you can help us understand the difference between you said there are some matte works, right? Yeah. So what is the difference between that versus
See, now you see this shot. This is everything is hand painted. Okay. And this plate is not going into film as it is.
Okay.
This is for someone to look at and create it into 3D or whatever, or they can shoot something like that if they can go to the location. So this all happens before the shoot. So this is called the pre-production or the concept art. Okay. And you can see this valley is laid out, and there is a small rectangle in white where our camera is actually.
Okay. How do you
show you
how do you try and visualize, because even like that's one of the biggest challenges, right? You have not been there, so you are trying to fantasize something. So how do you do that?
See, our fantasy for everything now, it starts with a lot of study and R&D. Like I just give an example when they did this what film, Finding Nemo, and what was the earlier film of that one, that Pixar thing, that little fish.
Yeah, it was Finding Nemo, right? I mean, so after that there was a sequel.
Okay, for that film, what they did, they with all their art team, they went to the scuba dive. They spent like 1.5 months on the vacations doing the scuba dive just to get the feel of what the world is below water.
Wow.
Even for the Up movie, they went to the location and they spent so much of time over there and they got that thing. Even for
Mm-hmm.
this kind of films, like especially for Tanaji, people went out. Not entire crew can go. This depends on the production and everything. So basically, we go to the location if possible, do the raking. If not possible, we have to Google. That's the very first thing. Lot of
Mm-hmm.
Google. We collect the references. We sort out the references. Like I will tell you what kind of references we do.
Yeah, please. That will be interesting.
So this is my folder. So this I call wind texture references. So I segregate them with like Ajanta and Ellora. So anything that comes related to caves or something, uh, that ancient thing. So every research starts with the realistic base. So because door will be door, like things will be things, like same sculpture will be sculpture. So animals, there like animals will be like animals. So we take a reference from the raw structures
Mm-hmm.
and then we visualize on top of that. Like if we have some Indian thing, then we get a lot of Indian architecture to study. So we collect all these references and we keep getting inspired with light, atmosphere, and like see this image itself like gives you a different impression from
Mm-hmm.
what I have the earlier one. So we kind of something strikes to us. Okay, this can be very nice. I can use it into my thing. So maybe I can use 40% of this. Maybe I can sometime I can take the architecture as for my inspiration. Sometime I can
Elements.
take the
Mm-hmm.
lighting as an inspiration. So it
Mm-hmm.
completely changes from image to image.
Mm.
So these are like so many like textures references that we keep collecting. Like rocks, we have like so many rocks. So we got to use some rocks in our concept art. So I will find the best rock or what will suit into that composition. So basically, rough composition we create on our own many of the times because of I can say that will come through the experience. If you can develop that raw composition, and then you can take these images, these references, and then you can push them into your uh, work.
Mm-hmm.
Like I will just show you very simple. So something like this, which is like half an hour of work, but just try to keep practicing, or just try to find out what the best angle I can find within that. Or for example, so this kind of black and white we do a lot of. So there comes basically.
Can you can you make it full screen? I mean, so the
Yes.
details are seen. So this was again done for the same movie, or?
No, these are some my personal inspirational work that I have done for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So that is how like in extra time I keep spending time on. So this is something cool, I guess. This is very intense job. So this took very long time to develop.
Oh,
One.
so what is the idea behind this, and how much time it took?
So idea was this job was for Jane Jigar Theatre in the Dubai theme park, Bollywood theme park. So they
Uh-huh.
have their stage show going in there
Mm-hmm.
every day, and these
Mm-hmm.
were the backdrops for the. It's like a theater. It's a new theater kind
Mm-hmm.
of thing. So I can show you how exactly these were used. So I'm not only the films. It will with every other media. Now we got to just how we best they can utilize our work in that thing.
Mm. And how much time it took?
See, this took around one image around we can say a month, right
Wow.
from inception to drawing and then fine tuning and then corrections and many things. So if you see this panel, you can clearly see there is a demarcations of like rectangles, like theatrical wings,
Right.
one, two, three, going deep inside.
Can you make it full
So
screen? Yeah. This just all done only by you, right? Or you had some help from your team?
this is all my personal job. So this was all on my own.
Mm.
I'll just show you where it was used and how it was used.
Yeah. Oh, got it.
So it is used in the depths, and there are like different wings. So there is a physical space in between, and these
Mm.
all were the LEDs. So they don't have to recreate same thing what I've done. What I've done was directly projected on the screen. So this kind of different jobs depending on their requirement.
So basically, yeah. So basically, what you did was kind of a conceptual detail, and then so this would have been taken by the set designers, and then they would have done a little bit of improvisation.
Yes.
Got it.
So this was one role of work. So these are the many different environments. So it was the kind of drama film story of 2 hours or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes through all different locations, different visual experience.
So what tool you use, Vinod? I mean,
I use completely Photoshop dependent.
and yeah, with a vacuum, I guess.
Yes, with the Wacom stylus, and that is it for me. Just as a painter. And then there are few other stuff like Maya, Nuke, and ZBrush, which is like for sculpting 3D or taking the advantage of 3D for getting your world right, perspective right. You can generate the trees and all that thing. You want to recreate everything from scratch. Otherwise, everything comes to the Photoshop and then it gets compiled together.
Oh.
And yeah, so concept I showed you. Now I will show you the matte painting thing, which can says okay DMP. Okay, so DMP matte painting is something where you directly your plate is used in this film. So things are already shot, and you got to recreate something photorealistic that can exactly replace.
Mm-hmm. So this was for which movie?
This was for Roman Mystery. It was a UK-based web series.
Okay, so maybe you might have to show the post and yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Now we see it.
Yes.
The building
This
was not there.
Yeah, and then we got the building.
So how do you try to manage to match the light and all that stuff? I mean, so they also give you some specifications for that?
No, see, once it's a matte painting, now everything our reference is the plate. I got to match everything to the plate, and it's our very first thing is photorealistic. So it should be something that nobody should be able to spot what is done in what is outside, what is
so
real and what is.
What do you mean by plate? I mean, what is
plate
the
means the shoot, the actual shoot.
Okay.
So all our reference is there in terms of the lighting, detailings, and the quality of the image. Some images are little blurry, some are very crispy, depending on the camera. So that becomes our key point.
Okay.
And we can definitely grab the textures from different things, but we got to put it together. So now this image, you just try to
guess which is real and which is. Okay, this is the actual shot, but the extension also all. Okay, wow.
So this is very cost saving because there is no interaction on top. There everything is happening, and bottom there was one just single shot which just pans up in the film. So this is the Solomon Kane film. So it just pans up. So that's it, and there's somebody's throwing something from the top. So that obviously will get done in 3D CG.
Oh, so which means they also give you the little bit of narration. What's going to happen in this shot?
When it comes to the post production matte painting, we completely receive the offline, which is with a green screen. So we get to know what exactly is happening in that sequence, that fight sequence. If it is fight sequence, we have 5 minutes cutting. If it is like opening sequence, because if you notice, film travels to different locations. So that is how the sequences are divided. Like village sequence, then I come to the city, then city sequence, or if I go to the holidays, then the holidays, and in between there can be a travel sequence. So that is how sequences are divided. So that is based on the locations. So we get to understand that location, and along with that, when they are shooting, they do the lot of still photography. So that comes to us. So that textures we can use to rebuild the wherever it is required.
Okay.
So same goes with this place.
Oh, I think these are all amazing stuff. I think so which one while you're trying to share, like so obviously, like, so we have one is with to do with the concept, the other one is to do with math. I think so which one which is more tougher, and which one do you actually enjoy?
See, concept art is something that most of the guys enjoy, and even
Okay.
I do enjoy because there I get a lot of liberty to paint.
Okay.
It is just a paint job, whereas
Mm-hmm.
uh, matte painting is very kind of skill oriented, and it is very block things. Means you are very clear what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
There
Mm-hmm.
is nothing much of experimentation in there. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
in matte painting you get lot to experiment.
Okay. So in general, how big will be this VFX team for a
Mm-hmm.
movie, or it I know it totally depends, but
It
yeah.
mostly depends on the studio, but I will give you an average. This team is like pre-production guys will be around maximum 8 to 10,
8
and
to 10. Okay.
post-production guys also will be 8 to 10. Means around 10 to 20 will be strength of the team. Should
Okay.
be ideally
Okay.
for any average studio. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
my current studio, we have like different departments. Means within company there are different sister companies. So my
Mm-hmm.
current strength is like 5 artists we have. Then other different branch, which is our branch only. They
Mm-hmm.
also have like 8 to 10 guys.
I think we also have one question from participants. So how does the coordination happen between the matte paint painting artist versus the cinematographer, and then there's also this special effects folks, right? So there are like too many people are involved in this. So how do you? So who owns what? I mean,
Okay, yeah, that is actually there is one strong team of the production.
okay.
In any studio, there's like production and art department, so they are kind of rivals always.
Mm-hmm.
So production is keep the track of date, time, deliveries, and all things, and artists are then supposed to work freely, but
Mm-hmm.
production always keeps jumping for the deliveries. I'll just show you some fine art stuff. This is now this is my means my hard time passion means all time passion. This is these are mostly paper and watercolors. Few are small in sizes. So this is where our main inspiration starts from. Playing landscaping, we do the structural studies, architectural studies, rocks, and this is not like hardcore studies. We see it from our angles. Architect might find it from different angle. We try to find the beauty in that form and shape, and mostly it's a play of color. So that is where means I concentrate a lot. So yeah, now we come to the landscapes. So we have vehicles and all that. So whatever we draw as a painter, same thing we have to create as a designer when we have to do a sci-fi movies, prop design. So all basically ingredients are from real life, how the tire is going to be, and then all other different things steps into like aerodynamics and all that. So it's a lot of like Diane must be doing like a lot of product design when it's come to this kind of design for the movies especially. But these are the landscapes. So these are mostly I have just painted seeing in front or taking photographs and or sitting on the spot to recreate same thing into the digital format with a much finished output and with uh, director's note or his vision. We have to use our skills for his vision. So it is as straight as that. So these are when I was working in the UK studio. So every day I used to paint on my travel. So this is all inside the tube drawings. So this is where means actually if you study the human anatomy, you get to observe lot many different forms, shapes, structures, and then same thing goes to you in your work. So my passion is always to keep drawing, keep painting with a traditional art form. So that is what I call like drawing and painting. And then new form is like digital. Then we just got to replicate that thing over there. So that is why means if you want to collect something from this webinar, that I would just say like always try to stick to the physicality of anything. Once anything gets the virtual, we lose that connect. Means you must have experience in real life also. Like there's no better fun or better experience than the writing letters rather than the chatting or emails. So that essence, that difference is there. And if you have that essence in your work, now then you can translate into the digital form. But if you don't have that base at all, then it you can you can get lost in the crowd. So you will never be able to find your identity as a designer. Also, I'm not saying you want to be an artist. So when I'm doing these sketches, I completely lose my sense of time and where I am and what I'm doing and how much time it's been and whether it is going to give me money or not. Like everything vanishes once I start doing painting or the sketching. So that is that feel of ecstasy if you can bring in your work. Of course, once then I reach to the office and there thousand things like schedule, timing, production, everything is there. But that thing always remains with you. And these are few canvases that big canvases are painted. Uh, so again, this is this in different form of expressions. So these are like very purely internal or experiential uh, output. So this is kind of pure form of painting. So this is not for any commercial purpose, not for someone to impress, not for selling. So that is the difference between fine art and commercial art. When I go to the office, that is all called commercial art. Because commercials, you earn money. That's as simple as. And fine means you don't have any rules. You just express yourself. But all commercial work is derived from the fine art only. Means you can simply relate into any outside words. Like you like the flower pattern. Flower doesn't come for price. It comes for free. The essence come for free. Fragrance come for the free. But then we take use of that and we use it in our commercial work and make money out of that. So all this work is kind of fine artwork without any purpose apart from the self-expression. So this was my take on digital. This is like very big paintings, 5 feet, 6 painting, 6 feet paintings. So that is about the paint. This is one of my best work. Yeah, because this is completely not done for anyone. This is again piece of fine art. I will just tell you the story. After watching the Wall-E film, I was kind of hypnotized with this the digital form and the futuristic world and day after tomorrow kind of feel. So that feel was there when there's that guy, he carries that one leaf with him, one single tree that he secures, and later on when movie ends, then we come to back normal. So that impression was with me, that a small leaf, but in that living in that digital world, surviving. So I took my take on this one, and if the world turns, if nature turns digital, then what it would look like. So I thought the circuits are very close to our veins and even the plant veins and all that. So that is where the idea struck in. And again, this piece I spent like almost one full day, and then in the office only I spent over a night without sleeping. That is where the passion steps in. That you don't care for the office is paying, you're staying back or whatever. You just want to finish that one. But and then after finishing in the morning, also somebody suggested this is not working. Then again, I spent another night just because next day I had the office work. So after doing that, I spent another night changing this brown leaf, which was not there in the picture earlier. So this painting won me a 2009 national award as a best digital painter. Yeah, and I would like to conclude with one fine art piece of watercolor, which won me the first international award. This is a friend of mine, a classmate of mine. This painting was done in like I will say like maximum 15 minutes. Maximum 15 minutes. And this was the winner of National Watercolor Award. So what I mean to see, the lot of that experience, that your practice, your pain, your all celebration that comes together, and then when you put one single stroke of paint, that becomes M.F. Hussain stroke, and put it into simple word. So always people say, why there is so many prices, so many cost paint, or how much time you spend. So there is no rational calculation between how much time I spend and what is the output. I have spent like my entire life just to come to this point, and then I have delivered this painting. So that doesn't mean I did it in the 15 minutes. So, you know, all your work stands like that only. Whatever we do in our professional life, we have like a lot of studies, like our college and whatnot, like days and nights. And then we develop some simple formula like E is equal to MC square. And then you become so like Einstein. So it is like definitely a lot of hard work. But then when you simplify it, then it becomes a beautiful equation. So same thing goes with the painting. I do follow a lot of these guys like scientists and Tesla and many other philosophical guys, just to understand their approach towards their passion.
Thanks for this wonderful session. I think we kind of thoroughly enjoyed. At least were able to understand like what's the difference between a matte finish and what are the efforts that actually goes into this conceptual artist. When people say that I'm into conceptual artists, right? So now we understand what are the research happens, how much of details has gone into each and everything. And I think your advice is pretty valuable for most of the aspiring designers, and so thanks a lot for your team.
Yes. And I would also like insist you to keep always one notebook. It can be notebook, it can be sketchbook. You doodle, you write your thought, you write your equation, you write your codes, you write your sketch, you write your love letters. Whatever you do, you keep one physical form of it with you always. So when your idea strikes, you just got to put that thing inside it. So that is how it's keep connected to physical world and your originality of your ideas. And that is what the art is all about. It doesn't necessarily to be a painting or something like that.
Absolutely. Yep. Thanks a lot, and thanks a lot to all the participants, and we'll again catch up next week. Thanks, See you.
Okay, thank you. I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Okay, bye bye.